أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بأبي الأحرار سيد الشهداء أبي عبد الله الحسين وجعلنا من المنتظمين بمصابهم مع إمامهم منصور من آل محمد صلوات. On the afternoon of the 10th of Muharram, Aba Abdullah al-Hussein stands alone upon the plains of Karbala. He stands outside his tent and he calls, Hal min nasirin yansurna. Who is there to help us? Who will come to the aid of the grandson of Rasulullah? Who will come to the aid of the children of Rasulullah? Hussein stands in front of the enemies. If he looks at the scene of the battlefield of Karbala, he would see this is where his family and where his companions lay. On one side is the body of Habib ibn Madahir. On another is the place in which Ali al-Akbar fell. Close towards the Furat is the body of Abu al-Fadl Abbas, his arms severed. Outside the tent is the place in which Ali al-Asghar was shot by an arrow. Again he calls out, Hal min nasirin yansurna. The women folk of the tent begin to cry. They begin to wail, knowing that this is the final call of Hussein ibn Ali. Hussein returns back into the tents. He must now bid farewell to his family. He sits down beside his son Zainul Abidin. He begins to wake him up and says, O Sajjad, wake up, this is my farewell to you. Sajjad looks at his father bewildered. Ya Aba Abdillah, what do you mean that this is your farewell? How can you be entering into the battlefield? Tell me, where is Habib? There is no way that you would enter into the battlefield because Habib would stand before you. Hussein looks at him with tears in his eyes. Oh Sajjad, Habib has been slain. Zainul Abidin asks him and says, Ya Aba Abdillah, oh my dear father, tell me, where is Akbar? For you would never be able to enter into the battlefield whilst Akbar is there to defend you. He looks at Sajjad and says, Oh Sajjad, my son, Akbar has passed. They thrust a spear into the chest of your brother Akbar. Zainul Abidin looks into the eyes of his father and says, Oh father, well tell me, where is Abu Fadl al-Abbas? Because you would not be able to enter into the battlefield whilst Abbas is there to protect you. Hussein responds, Oh my son Sajjad, do not ask me of any more, for there are none left. It is only you and I amongst the males. There is none left to defend me. There is no one to enter into the battlefield. Sajjad looks towards his auntie Zainab and Kulthum and says, Oh my auntie, hand me a stick and hand me a sword. They ask him, Oh Sajjad, why do you want a stick and why do you want a sword? I want a stick so that I may have some strength to be able to stand up and lean on this stick. I want a sword because I want to defend the grandson of Rasulullah. Hussein turns towards Zainab bin Kulthum and says, hold him back, because if he enters into the battlefield, there will not be an imam after me. O Zainab bin Kulthum, O Ruqayya and Baqir, O Fatima, come round me now. Let me tell you that this is the imam after me. Pledge your allegiance to Zainul Abidin. They now come around Imam, they begin to pledge him his allegiance, and the Imam begins to depart from the tent into what is known as the first farewell. He exits the tent, and as he does so, before he leaves, he hears a voice, a broken voice from behind him calling him, "Oh my brother, will you not embrace me for one last time before you enter the battlefield? Oh brother, come back, I wish to see you one more time." Zainab calls out to Hussein, "Oh brother, come back." Hussein turns round and begins to embrace his sister. At this moment, Sayyidah Zainab says to Hussein, Hussein, oh my brother, do you wish to know the last wasiyyah of our mother Fatima az-Zahra for this moment? What she told me to do?" Hussein says, "Tell me." Zainab comes and kisses the chest of Hussein. Hussein says, "Oh Zainab, why do you kiss my chest?" She says, "This was the last request of our mother Fatima to me, because in a few minutes your chest will be trampled by the horse's hooves. She could not be here to kiss your chest, so she wanted me to kiss your chest on her behalf." Hussein looks to Zainab and says, "Oh Zainab, do you wish to know the last wasiyyah of our mother Fatima for you in this moment?" She says, "Yes." Hussein takes the hands of Zainab, brings them towards his lips, kisses her wrists. Zainab begins to cry, "Oh Hussein, why have you kissed my wrists? This was the wasiyyah from our mother Fatima, because shortly your legs will be bound, your arms will be bound, you will be taken as captive and made to parade through 10-20 different cities. Our mother Fatima could not be here for you today. She wished for me to kiss you on your wrist where you will be bound." Hussein ascends upon his horse. He wishes to enter into the battlefield. Our khutabah tell us that he now gently moves the horse in order to enter. However, the horse does not move. Again, he maybe kicks towards the horse in order to help it move. Again, Zuljanah does not move. He looks towards Zuljanah and says, "Oh Zuljanah, what keeps you from entering into the battlefield?" Zuljanah turns his head towards his back as if to say, "Oh Hussein, look behind. There is one more farewell that you have to do. There is one more farewell that is waiting you on this afternoon." Hussein looks towards the back of the horse. He sees his 4-year-old daughter Sakina clung towards the horse's leg as if to say, "Oh Zuljanah, everyone who has entered into the battlefield has not come back. Do you take my..." Hussein descends from the horse. He embraces Sakina. Sakina says to him, "Oh father, have you submitted to death? Is this the last time that I have with you?" Imam responds and says, "Oh my dear daughter, there is nothing we can do. No matter where we go, they would chase us and not let us live." She says, "If that is the case, then please take me in your arms and allow me to rest upon your chest one last time. For you know how much I long to sleep upon your chest. Then I cannot fall asleep unless I'm upon your chest." Hussein takes her in his arms, places her towards his chest, and for a few moments allows her to rest. But then he realizes that he must enter into the battlefield. Oh fathers, can you imagine that moment where you have to take Sakina off your chest, knowing that the next time you would see her, there would be arrows showering down from the enemies? Hussein bids his farewell. He ascends onto the horse. He now enters into the battlefield. He begins to address the enemies and says to them, "Do you not know who I am? Do you not know I am the grandson of Rasulullah?" They said, "Yes, we do." "Do you not know that I am the grandson of Khadija?" They said, "Yes, we do." "Do you not know that it's my uncle Jaffer that flies in the heavens with wings?" They said, "Yes, we do." "Do you not know that Hamza is the lion of God and he is my uncle?" They said, "Yes, we do." "Then tell me, why do you kill me and my family?" They said that we have hatred for your father Ali ibn Abi Talib, and by Allah, we will not stop until we kill you. We will not stop until you die thirsty. Hussein unsheathes his sword. He rushes into the battlefield on his horse. He begins to strike at the enemy, sending many of them to the pitfalls of hell. Hussein attacks like a valiant lion, and he breaks through the army. He eventually arrives at the river Furat. As he does so, he descends from his horse. He goes into the water. This is the moment where Hussein may quench his thirst. He takes the water, and instead of lifting it to his own lips, he turns towards his horse Zuljanah. He takes the water to Zuljanah and says, "Oh Zuljanah, you have been thirsty throughout this time. Drink before I drink." Zuljanah looks away as if to say, "Oh my master Hussein, do you not know that I was created to serve you? How may you ask me to drink before you would drink?" Hussein is about to quench his thirst. The enemies cry out and say that, "Oh Hussein, will you drink whilst we attack your women folk, whilst we attack the tents?" Hussein throws the water away. He ascends back on the horse. He rides back to the tent, only to see that this was a ploy in order to stop Hussein from quenching his thirst. This is the final wida. This is the final farewell. Hussein calls upon his family members. One narration says that he comes towards his daughter Sukaina. He comes towards Sukaina, and Sukaina says to Sukaina, "Oh Sukaina, bear patiently in what is going to befall you. You must look after your children. You must look after my children. You must look after the youngsters of the Kafilah." He now looks and hugs his family members. The ladies come out, realizing that this is the last farewell of Hussein. At this moment, Umar ibn Sa'ad cries out to the army, "Attack Hussein whilst he's distracted with his family. For if he manages to gather himself, he would not stop but killing you. He would separate you from your left and from your right." At this moment, they shower the tents of Hussein with arrows. It strikes into the tents. The women are fleeing left and right in order to escape the arrows. Hussein turns around, enraged. "Will you attack my women whilst I bid them farewell?" He now enters back into the battlefield upon his horse, and he begins to fight. This is the last fight of Hussein, because in a few moments Hussein's body will fall towards the ground. They begin to surround him and strike him with everything that they have. As they strike him, they hit him with swords, they hit him with arrows, they throw stones upon Hussein. At this moment, when Hussein begins to tire, as his body begins to fall from the horse, Imam al-Baqir says, "When my grandfather fell from the horse, there were 300 wounds upon his body. When my grandfather fell from the horse, there were so many arrows into his body that it was not his body that struck the ground, it was the arrows that hit the ground before him. My grandfather had so many arrows in his body. His body did not resemble that of a human. He looked more like a hedgehog. That is how many arrows were embedded into my grandfather's body." Hussein falls towards Karbala. Hussein's bed will now be a bed of arrows. They begin to surround him at this moment. They all want to strike him. One comes towards him. Hussein is sitting upon the ground taking rest. He calls out and says, "Will you not quench my thirst? Will you not give me a drop of water?" One individual says, "Oh Hussein, we will not quench your thirst until you die. You will go towards the hellfire." He says, "You have lied. I will not be going there. My grandfather will quench my thirst. I will quench my thirst at the pool of Kawthar." At this moment, whilst Hussein is taking rest, one individual comes with a stone the size of a hand, comes towards Hussein and thrusts that stone upon the blessed forehead of Hussein. This is that forehead that performs sajda in the night to Allah. This is that forehead that Rasulullah would kiss. This is that forehead that Fatima would kiss. At this moment, he throws the stone to the head of Abu Abdullah. It splits his forehead open. The blood of Hussein gushes upon his face. It takes his shirt. He lifts his shirt towards his forehead in order to wipe the blood. Hurmala comes forward. Hurmala takes an arrow. He comes point blank towards the body of Hussein. He pulls the arrow back and strikes it into the stomach of Hussein. Hussein calls out to Allah, Bismillah, wa billah, wa fi sabilillah, wa ala millati Rasulillah. He takes the blood, he throws it. A narration says that one person stated, when Hussein threw that blood towards the sky, by Allah, not a single drop of blood returned. This blood went to Ain Allah, went straight towards Allah. He takes this blood and he says, Oh Allah, bear witness, they are killing the only grandson of your messenger. They are killing the only son of the daughter of your messenger. Oh Allah, this is how I will meet you on the day. I will come like this to my grandfather and complain like this to him. At this moment, they continue to surround Hussein. Each of them comes to come and strike Hussein in this moment. He is trying to take some rest. One narration says at this moment, the son of Imam al-Hassan, by the name of Abdullah, he sees what is happening to his uncle. He is standing on the outside of his tent. He says, will you kill my uncle whilst I look on? I will not allow this. He runs into the battlefield. Sayyidah Zainab tries to grab him. She cannot hold him. He runs into the battlefield. He comes towards his uncle and says, oh my uncle, look at what they have done to you. Look at how your body and your face is. At this moment, one of the enemies comes forward in order to strike this young child. The narration says that this child is only 11 years old. He takes out his sword. He comes to strike at the child. The child puts out his right arm in order to defend himself. His arm gets severed and is hanging off his wrist. He looks towards his uncle. Oh uncle, look at what they have done to my arm. Hussein embraces him and says, oh Abdullah, bear patiently, for it will be your father and grandfather that quenches your thirst. Hurmala comes again. He takes out another arrow. Abdullah ibn Hassan is in the arms of Hussein. He comes and strikes an arrow into the body of this child, hitting the child and striking into the body of Hussein. Hussein takes the body of his young nephew. He begins to cry over upon him. At this moment, they again continue to surround Hussein. Now they begin to strike him. One person comes with a sword and strikes upon the left shoulder of Hussein. One comes towards Hussein and strikes him towards his stomach. Another one takes an arrow and strikes it towards his neck. Now one person comes forward, takes out a sword. Hussein is sitting on the ground with his helmet on. One person comes and strikes upon the head of Hussein, splitting his helmet open. Blood gushes across his face. Blood comes out. And now the women come out, begin to cry out, Wa Husseina. They can hear Hussein crying out. Oh Zainab, how do you see Hussein at this moment? Hussein is lying on the ground. At this moment, the women and children come out and begin to call for Hussein. As they call for Hussein, they begin to call for him and call out, Oh Hussein, Wa Husseina. At this moment, Hussein, with the last amount of strength, calls towards Zainab. Zainab, go back towards the tents and look after the children, because they will have so much to suffer in the few minutes. Zainab has to gather the children and try to calm them when they see this scene. Zainab takes the children back into the tent. She comes back out and she begins to stand on Tilla Zainabiyya. This is the moment when Zainab will have to see what happens to her brother. At this moment, they continue to surround Hussein. It says that there are several people around Hussein, but none dare strike him, because each wants to give each other tribe the responsibility of killing Hussein. The narration says in these moments, Hussein begins to recite a dua. His body begins to shake as his soul begins to depart from him. One last time he calls out and says, will you quench my thirst? Will you give me a drop of water in this state? Again they refuse Hussein even a drop of water. At this moment, Umar ibn Sa'ad calls out, finish Hussein, finish Hussein. Imagine those words, finish Hussein. Zainab comes out and she calls out, oh Umar, will you look on whilst Hussein is killed? Umar turns his face away from Zainab, embarrassed by this question. Zainab calls out, oh army, is there not a Muslim amongst you? Will you allow Hussein to die in this state? Again Umar calls out, finish Hussein. They begin to surround Hussein. No one wishes to kill him. They begin to hit him with stones. They begin to throw objects at him. But there is one man that has the audacity and is willing to kill Hussein. Shimmer, he steps forward to do this act. Shimmer steps forward to kill Hussein. This is the moment. This is the moment when the heavens begin to shake. Come to Karbala and see Rasulullah leave the heavens. Come to Karbala and see Ali ibn Abi Talib leave the heavens. Come to Karbala and see Ibrahim leave the heavens. Fatima is coming. She is going to hell. She is going to hold the head of Hussein when it falls. Fatima comes from Medina. She comes to the lands of Karbala. Fatima is looking at Shimmer. Fatima sees Shimmer take out that blunt dagger. Who will kill Hussein? Finish Hussein. Shimmer comes forward. It is said that he is lying, he is sitting on the ground. Shimmer comes and kicks Hussein onto his back. This is the moment when the arsh of Allah begins to shake. This is when the earth begins to shake. The angels are crying out for Hussein. Shimmer comes and sits upon the chest of Hussein. Zainab runs into the battlefield. How can she watch what is about to happen? Oh Hussein, my brother Hussein, do not do this, my brother Hussein. Hussein looks into the eyes of Shimmer and says, oh Shimmer, do not do this. You will be given to the pitfalls of hell. He sits upon the blessed chest of Hussein. He takes the beard of Hussein and pulls it towards him. Shimmer takes out a blunt dagger. Hussein is upon the hands of Shimmer. He takes out that dagger and he begins to strike in the neck of Hussein. He strikes him once and again and again and again and again and again. He strikes him 12 times on the neck. Hussein's head is severed. He takes the head in his hands. Jibreel calls out, قد قتل الحسين بأرض كربلاء قد ذبح الحسين بأرض كربلاء. Fatima is looking at the body of Hussein. Oh Shimmer, how do you cut my son's head?